Now, as we prepare as a nation to mark the 80th anniversary of VE Day on the 8th of May this year, we're taking time to honour the bravery and sacrifice of those who fought for our peace.
Now, in Hull today, many people are paying tribute to 6 crew members of an R.A.F.V.R Lancaster, it's ND 861, whose story reflects the courage central to this historic anniversary.
Yes, in 1945, it departed from Elsham Wolds for a training mission. Just 16 minutes later, it encountered a sudden blizzard and crashed into the Humber Estuary near Hull.
Despite valiant recovery efforts, the 6 airmen of 103 Squadron were never found.
Well, let's talk to the CEO of the Armed Forces and Veterans Breakfast Clubs, Derek Hardman, who joins us. Derek, it's great to see you this morning, and I know you're really wanting to have a memorial set up at the site where the Lancaster went down, and where, of course, the remains of those men still are.
Yes, indeed. Yes, they were posted missing, presumed dead. 4th of January 1945, the Lancaster actually hit the water during a snowstorm, which could be replicated today, actually, according to the weather. So that would be quite poignant. But at 2 o'clock this afternoon, we're going to be forming up. We're going to put together an honour guard. We're going to put some standards, and hopefully well, there's plenty of interest started already, but hopefully we'll get sometime during this year a memorial put in as near as we possibly can to where the Lancaster went down. We've also working with Hull University and Associated British Sports, hoping to locate the actual Lancaster itself with the 6 crews still in it, so it can be actually marked on a map and, you know, registered as a war grave.
And that's what makes the story so poignant, isn't it? I mean, obviously, lots of men were lost, lots of aircraft were, but this happened 80 years ago today, and the fact that it went down in the estuary, and despite efforts, they've never been able to find it, locate it, or recover it. The community feels very strongly about this, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely, especially the veteran community around here. Obviously, when the story came to light through the Armed Forces and Veterans Breakfast Clubs, which is an organisation I founded some years ago. There's now over 500 clubs in 15 countries around the world, but a club in the south. There was actually a relative of the pilot, who was a guy called Chris Waite, who was 31 when he was piloting this Lancaster. His grandson is a veteran himself who was attending a breakfast club down in Cornwall. And they actually got in touch when they found out where the original club started, which is here in Hull, and that's how the story came to light. So ever since, you know, interest has been growing in this whole story, because there are several aircraft in the Humber, not just British but German as well. But this one's actually never been located. So it was the actual crash was witnessed from a Saltend pier, which is just along the estuary on the front of, near to the city front. So it was reported that it actually crashed in front of the city. But yeah, again, nobody knows where it is. And these 6 men disappeared with that aircraft. Presumably, they're still sitting in it to this day.
Yeah. I mean, it's fascinating when you mentioned the grandson of Christopher Waite, as you say, was 31. There was George Widdicombe, who was 32, Henry Backway, who was 21, Clifford Hillier, 20, Cyril Lloyd, just 19, and Maurice Pickersgill, who was 21. And actually, when you look at those individual names and those individual ages, that's what brings it home, isn't it? These real people with real families who are, I mean, most of them just kids.
Well, it does to us, especially the veterans, these guys sitting behind me that are here for the Breakfast Club this morning, because that's a similar age that we all were when we served in the military. So, you know, there but for the grace of God go I. You know, it's a generation or 2 generations removed, and that could have been us. So that kind of brings it home to us. You know, those ages. I joined at 17. You know, there's lots of lads here that joined 17, 18, 19, girls behind me that served the country. You know, all a similar age. You know, these lads were from around the country. Everybody here, there's several here from around the country, the veterans that have ended up here in Hull at this breakfast club, you know, and served at a similar age, and have also faced dangers. But that was a generation that we owe our freedom to, that should be honoured. And it's also a reflection on the city, because Hull was the worst, per square mile was the worst bomb city in Britain during World War II. Up to 75% of the housing in Hull was destroyed, unlivable by the end of World War II. So it just goes to show that it sort of connects with the city as well as the veterans.
Well, look, thank you for your service. For a start, everybody. But I'm fascinated by the idea of the breakfast clubs. How often do you meet and what do you talk about?
Well, you'd think, they all get together and talk about the service, but that's not always the case. But there's this club here meets every week, but the clubs around the country and 15 countries around the world, they meet, whenever they decide. It could be once a month, twice a month, fortnightly, etc. We generally tend to aim for weekends so that sort of working age veterans can attend as well, because quite often they're the most vulnerable. And we'll meet, talk about life, basically, not just our service, but we also share information, tips and bargains and things, all sorts of things. So it's actually sitting in a room with fellow veterans, people that speak the same language as you, that you learned when you were 16, 17, 18 years old. That gets fixed, that conditioning that the military puts into you. So when you leave the armed forces, it's an alien world. So a lot of armed forces are prone to isolation, and this helps.
Yeah, I bet it does. Just hanging about with people who know where you've been and where you're coming from. Really good to talk to you, Derek. Thank you very much indeed. And I know they're going to launch a competition, and on the 80th anniversary of VE Day, they're going to announce what sort of memorial it's going to be. I
wonder what sort it will be.
I don't know.
It will be a sort of model of a Lancaster or something entirely different.
Yeah, don't know, but I think it's quite right that this is marked and remembered. And I'm glad, Derek was saying, not to try and remove it if they manage to locate it, but just to have it recognised as a wardrobe. Yeah, which I think is the right thing to do, for it to be left rather than disturbing it this late on. I think that's quite nice and quite fitting in a way.
Yeah. And as you say, hearing the age of some of those, any age, it's a sacrifice, isn't it, for which we should be eternally grateful. But the age of one of them, 19. Another two, 20 and 21. They were so young to be part of that crew. And they flew into a snowstorm. But I suppose, it was January the 4th, same as it is today. Yeah. 80 years ago.
Yeah, well, how good that they're being remembered, and we'll have lots of celebrations and memorials around VE Day in May, and then VJ Day in August. And so we'll be marking that on GB News, as you would expect.
Do stay with us, because still to come, Aidan McGee will be here to talk about what? Who? Luke the Nuke Littler.